was visiting his family in Chagrin Falls. Her story is important to me because it expresses the shock and sadness we often feel when we discover that a famous person from our childhood has become virtually unknown to the younger generation. Over the years, many people have told me I should write this book. I would explain that I had no time, I wanted to pursue my acting career, yada, yada, yada. And that was true, but also, Dad was a very private person, and I was concerned I'd be trespassing on forbidden territory. When Dad passed on February 21st, 2006, I became haunted by the opportunity I was missing. Just as the iconic film Back to the Future expresses, many people desire to walk in a parent's shoes for a day. Writing this book didn't allow me to travel through time, but it enabled me to see his life through others' eyes. And I realized I was in a unique position. As the daughter of a famous person, I could locate and talk to strangers who had known him. In addition to preserving Dad's legacy, my interest in writing the book was to understand him, to explore his many facets, and to share his remarkable journey with you. So I took the plunge. When I started, Dad had been gone for more than 10 years, as were most of his closest friends. Fortunately, I had started collecting interviews years before I made the decision to write a book, just in case. I started by interviewing members of my immediate family, my mother Kay and my brother Tom. It may seem strange for me to interview members of my own family, but I was amazed at how much I learned by doing so. I didn't know some of the things Dad and Tom had done together, and it informed me about their relationship. Tom and I began to have conversations about things we'd never discussed, including Dad's fame and our own experience with it. I included my mother's story, too. So many of Dad's fans have expressed interest in her. It turns out that Mother had kept a journal of several events in our family's life, as well as her own, and she gave me access. Thanks, Mom. I soon realized I needed more information on Dad's childhood. I flew to his hometown of Morgantown, West Virginia. I announced on radio that anyone who had reliable information about my father was invited to meet me for wine and cheese at the Hill and Hollow restaurant. A nice crowd gathered and shared their memories, or more accurately, their parents' or relatives' memories. I wanted to know more about his high school days, so I inquired and was advised to go to Jean's Beer Garden on Wilson Avenue. I wandered into the bar, ordered a beer, and started talking about my project. A man said, "Don Knotts! My mother-in-law dated him in high school." I later interviewed the woman, Doris Harner, and she gave me insight into Dad's life prior to his entrance into World War II. Later, when I returned to Los Angeles, I interviewed Dad's friend, actor Al Checo, who had entertained with Dad in the Army show Stars and Gripes. But my greatest Back to the Future moment came when I visited Dad's alma mater, Morgantown High School. Dad had often talked about the school as the turning point in his young life. That's when he really began to channel his charismatic personality and brilliant comedic talent. I was excited when I walked through the door of the school I'd heard so much about. I talked with a former MHS student, Lorenzo Turner, who told me, "When I was 15, I got my summer job at MHS. It was to clean the desks, get rid of gum, and so on. We were in the old auditorium, and carved into the proscenium arch with a knife was the name Don Knotts." I interviewed a gym coach and learned how Dad had used his ventriloquism to flirtatiously engage with other students. And while in Morgantown, I also reconnected with the children of Jarvie Eldred, Dad's best friend in high school. I hadn't seen Judy, Karen, Jenny, or Jarvie Jr. since we were kids, when our fathers introduced us. I continued my search for people and eventually met a woman in her 90s, Fern Hall Geisman, who had been Dad's close childhood friend. She told me how she and Dad, as children,